Last summer, I was just a regular guy trying to make ends meet. Working my butt off as a warehouse man at the Amazon warehouse. The sun was scorching, and I needed the extra cash, so I'd often pull those dreaded overtime shifts. My apartment was just a short 10-minute walk from the warehouse, and I thought nothing of it. Every evening as I left the warehouse, I couldn't help but notice this man, standing at a distance. He was nondescript, not your typical creep, but he stood out because he was always there. It was as if he had nothing else to do but watch me. At first, I brushed it off as a weird coincidence, but as the days went by, it became apparent that this was no accident. He'd follow me, keeping a safe distance, but I could always feel his eyes on my back. My heart would race, and I'd quicken my pace, but he matched every step. He never said a word, never made any threatening gestures, he just watched. The suspense built slowly, like a pressure cooker about to burst. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe he was just a curious neighbor or someone waiting for the bus, but his presence grew more menacing with each passing day. I couldn't help but feel like prey being stalked by a predator. One sweltering evening, I decided to confront him. I turned around abruptly and shouted, "Why are you following me?" The man froze, his eyes wide with surprise, as if he didn't expect me to notice. He stammered out an excuse about getting off work late and walking the same way. I wanted to believe him, but my gut told me otherwise. Days turned into weeks, and the tension was unbearable. I became obsessed with this man who was always there, always watching. I'd even take different routes home, but he'd always find me. I confided in a few friends, but they brushed it off as paranoia. Maybe he's just a weirdo who likes to walk around, they'd say. But I knew better. There was something off about this man. One fateful evening, I decided to confront him once more. I turned around, my heart pounding, and shouted, "Who are you, and what do you want from me?" This time, he didn't stammer. Instead, he smiled, a chilling, knowing smile that made my blood run cold. Without a word, he turned around, walked away and disappeared. I never saw that man again. The relief was immense, but the mystery remained. Who was he, and why had he fixated on me? As the days turned into months, I resumed my normal routine, the memory of that man slowly fading like a distant nightmare. But I'll never forget those long, tense weeks when I was constantly watched and followed, the slow build of suspense that left me with unanswered questions and a lingering fear of the unknown.
Last year, I took up a gig as an Amazon delivery driver. I gotta tell you all about this one day that made me quit that job faster than a cat can lick its paw. It was just like any other day, delivering packages, finding my way through the neighborhoods. But something felt off when I noticed this beat-up car trailing me, like a lost puppy following its owner. It stayed back a bit, just enough to make me uncomfortable. I ain't one to jump to conclusions, but this car gave me creeps. It was just plain weird. I shrugged it off at first, thinking maybe they had the same delivery route or something, but deep down, I knew something wasn't right. As the day went on, that car stuck with me like glue. It didn't matter where I went, it was always there, lurking in the background. I tried to ignore it, but my gut was twisting like a pretzel. This went on for a couple of days. One afternoon, I decided to take a detour, hoping to lose that car once and for all. I took a series of turns through a maze of streets, but it stayed right on my tail. At this point, I was panicking more than a turkey on Thanksgiving. I called my buddy Rick, told him what was going on. He said maybe it was just some bored teenagers messing with me, but that didn't sit right. This felt different. I decided to confront the car, I know it might sound dumb, but I had to know what was going on. I pulled over. And that car did the same, stopping a few yards behind me. I got out, heart pounding like a drum, and walked toward it. The driver's window rolled down, and I'll never forget the face I saw. It was a guy, maybe in his 40s, with a twisted smile that sent shivers down my spine. He said, "You've been delivering packages for a while now, huh?" I nodded, not knowing what else to do. Then, he handed me an envelope. It was old and wrinkled, like it had been through hell and back. He said, "Deliver this for me." I didn't know what to say, but I took it. Inside was just an address, no name, nothing else. I asked, "Who's it for?" He chuckled, that creepy smile still plastered on his face, and said, "You'll know when you get there." I drove to the address, my mind racing. It was an abandoned house, boarded up windows, overgrown weeds, the works. I couldn't make sense of it, but I had a bad feeling in my gut. I left the package on the doorstep, like some sort of package drop-off ghost. I quit that job that night, didn't even go back for my last paycheck. I didn't want to know what that whole thing was about.
Last week, I decided to have a chill weekend at home, just to unwind from the daily grind. I had my favorite music playing, some good grub on the table, and I was all set to enjoy a relaxing time. Little did I know, something strange was about to happen. It was a sunny Saturday afternoon, and I was lounging on my couch, lost in the tunes, when I heard a faint knock on my front door. I wasn't expecting any visitors, and I hadn't ordered anything online, so I was a bit puzzled. I dragged myself off the couch and went to see who it was. When I opened the door, there stood an Amazon delivery guy, holding a cardboard box. He looked ordinary, just like any other Amazon delivery person you'd see. No eerie vibes, no creepy atmosphere, just a regular dude doing his job. I cautiously accepted the package, which had my name on it, but I hadn't ordered anything. I asked the delivery guy, "Hey, what's this all about?" I didn't order anything. He gave me a blank stare and replied, "Sorry, man, just following the orders. It's paid for and all that." He handed me a small clipboard with a receipt for me to sign. Honestly, I didn't want to get into any trouble or argue with the guy, so I signed the receipt and he went on his way. I figured maybe someone had sent me a surprise gift or something, just to brighten up my day. But it was weird. I brought the mysterious package inside and sat back on the couch. My curiosity got the better of me, and I carefully opened it up. Inside, there was a plain, brown envelope and a letter. The letter was short and to the point. It said, "You'll find out soon enough." There was no signature, nothing to indicate who had sent it. I felt a knot forming in my stomach. I opened the envelope, and what I found inside left me dumbfounded. It was a photograph of me, standing at my front door, opening the package with a bewildered look on my face. How could this be? Who could have taken such a photo, and why send it to me? My mind was racing with questions, and fear started to creep in. I checked the doors and windows, making sure everything was locked. I even peeked out of my curtains, but there was no sign of the delivery guy or anyone else. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that someone was playing a sinister game with me. My heart was pounding, and I couldn't focus on anything else. I decided to report this strange incident to customer service and to the police, hoping they could shed some light on what was going on. As I picked up the phone to make that call, I couldn't help but wonder if this was just the beginning of something much darker and more sinister than I could ever have imagined.
Every morning, I start my day by making breakfast for the kids. It's a routine I've perfected over the years: scramble some eggs, toast some bread, and pour a glass of orange juice. Life was simple, or so I thought, until an unexpected mystery began to unfold right at our doorstep. The strange occurrences all began with an unassuming package. At first, I didn't think much of it. After all, online shopping was a regular part of our lives. But this package was different. It was never ordered by us, and it appeared without warning, like an unwanted guest. I would stumble upon it every morning when I stepped out to get the newspaper. A brown cardboard box, neatly sealed and labeled with my wife's name. Sarah. The delivery was punctual, arriving every day at the break of dawn. I couldn't understand who would send her a package every single day. The contents of these packages varied, from books and clothing to gadgets and trinkets. It was as if someone was trying to win her over with gifts, but they remained anonymous, leaving us baffled and uneasy. At first, I assumed it was some marketing scheme gone wrong, so I contacted Amazon to report the unsolicited deliveries. The friendly customer service representative assured me they would investigate the matter, but the packages kept coming. The authorities were next on my list, but they couldn't provide any answers either. It seemed we were trapped in a never-ending cycle of mystery deliveries. Each morning, I found myself opening these packages, curiosity gnawing at me like an itch that wouldn't go away. It was as if they held a piece of the puzzle, a clue that could unravel this unsettling mystery. But I always came up empty-handed, for the contents revealed nothing about the sender's identity. Sarah grew increasingly worried. She became paranoid, constantly looking over her shoulder, fearing someone was watching us. I couldn't blame her. The situation was taking a toll on all of us. Our once happy home now felt like a fortress under siege. I tried to investigate on my own, scouring the neighborhood for any suspicious characters or unfamiliar faces. But our stalker remained elusive, always one step ahead, like a ghost in the shadows. Our lives were in disarray, and I could feel our family unraveling. Sarah couldn't sleep at night, and our kids were terrified by the strange packages and their mother's newfound anxiety. It was as if our home had become a prison, with an invisible intruder taunting us from afar. Then, just as mysteriously as it all began, the packages stopped. No warning, no explanation. We were left in a state of disbelief, as if waking from a prolonged nightmare. I reported this development to both Amazon and the authorities, but they could only shrug, as baffled as we were. In the end, the unwanted deliveries ceased, leaving us with more questions than answers. Who was behind this bizarre campaign of sending daily packages to my wife? Why did they stop? The fear and unease lingered long after the last package was delivered, a reminder that sometimes, the scariest stories are the ones that blur the line between reality and the unknown.